welcome to Missing Miles Podcast. I am Gary Howard. Thank you for joining me. If you're a return listener, thank you. If you're a new listener, I am a truck driver. I travel across the United States, and I come across these missing people cases and unsolved murders. And today is no different. It brings us to Brownwood, Texas. I am currently in Grand Prairie, Texas, so not too far from where this happened. And I had met his niece at the True Crime Podcast Festival that was in Austin. This year it will be in Denver. So it'll be a treat. Maybe she'll be there again. You get to talk to her. But this is where I first learned about this individual we're going to be talking about, this unsolved murder. Lately, it's been a lot of missing people on this podcast, but it's not. It's unsolved murders too. And if you have any suggestions, go to my Facebook page, Missing Miles. You can message me, or you can just put it on the feed. I'll look at it. But today we're talking about Juan Leon Laureles. He went from Brownwood, Texas. He went missing May 10th, 1996, and he was born May 9th, 1996. He was found on May 10th, 1996. Date of death was also the same date. His birthday was January 3rd. Did I say that wrong? The date missing was May 9th, 1996. His birthday was January 3rd. He was age 30 at the time. He was 6 foot. He's 6 foot tall, 200 pounds, with black hair. Of course, he's Hispanic. But yeah, Juan Leon Laureles grew up in a small Texas town, the youngest of 9 children to a traditional Mexican Catholic immigrant family. Quiet and shy, he grew up caring for his aging parents, spending much of his time with his niece Arlene, 2 years apart. They joined the Brady High School band together, Leon playing trumpet as they traveled with their football team. After graduation, he moved to Brownwood to follow his niece, now married with 2 children. She will later say, "He was my everything and now he's gone." It's just as hard for me as it was that day. Let me repeat that again. He was my everything and now he's gone. It's still just as hard for me as it was that day. He had just turned 30 that January. He was a really big guy, but he was pretty shy. He was more like just a gentle teddy bear. He was very caring and giving. He would always buy all his coworkers birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, and take them shopping. Take them out to eat. That was Arlene Harbison. That's Leon's niece. Now she is the one I met at the True Crime Podcast Festival, and we'll have one in Denver if you want to go to it. It's a whole all about victim advocacy. That's why she was here. Arlene was there to talk about, which is not too many people is talking about, Mr. Juan. So let's move on. They had family in Brownwood, and Arlene found a great job, and Leon, a supportive helper by nature, began caring for Arlene's boys by day and working at Kroger as a grocery clerk by night. He started making friends through the grocery store and enjoyed time with his family. Leon loved dancing, cooking, and was known for wearing bright white sneakers. But Leon carried with him a very heavy secret in a small, conservative Christian town, one that may have cost him his life. That he was gay. Weeks and days before the murder, Leon reported to his friends and family that an unknown person harassed and threatened him without reason. The morning before his murder, he shared with his sister that someone was harassing him that night. He left for the graveyard shift as usual at 11:30 p.m. so he could socialize with the outgoing staff and catch up for the day. It was known Thursday as he's heading to Kroger's he had a 1988 Thunderbird. So it sounds like he was a big fan of Celine Dion. In this article that I'm reading, says that he probably was singing that, but I don't know. There's no proof of that. Although seen briefly in the parking lot, he never made it to his shift. His body was found 30 minutes later next to his vehicle, set ablaze and shot in the back of the head, execution style. Two 911 callers passing by reported a car on fire as they passed a secluded rifle range on FM 2126 just outside Brownwood. Emergency services responded within minutes and found a dead body lying face down 6 foot in front of his car. Sheriff and Texas Ranger Bobby Grubbs responded. The sheriff's department refuses themselves due to a conflict of interest. I'm not really for sure what that may be, but they excused themselves from it. Groner Pitts, the local undertaker responsible for Brownwood autopsy, happened to own the rifle range. There's a picture that I will post on my social media page. He is seen at the crime scene at the Brownwood Bulletin consulting on the case. To this day, family questions whether the autopsy was performed, as no report was ever released. The case is officially opened by the Texas Rangers, and they look at it from time to time, according to a secretary. His niece, Arlene advocates for Leon and hits many walls from local authorities who want to remain tight-lipped on the investigation despite no new information. If you have any information regarding this case, Leon's murder, please contact the Browns County Sheriff's Office at 325-646-5510. Again, that is the Browns County Sheriff's Office at 325-646-5510, or the Heart of Texas Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. That is 1-800-222-8477. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a timeline of the events that happened from the time that from April 29th until the day that they found him, and further through investigations. So on April 29th, 1996, Leon's cousin at the time is living in a halfway house in Brownwood and is cruising. He happens to see Leon at a park in the parking lot, leaning and speaking to a man driving a little red car. The man sped off. Intrigued, Leon's cousin turns around and heads back to Leon. He inquires about who he was talking to, and Leon responded, a doctor friend from the hospital. The cousin later would tell Arlene this in January 2022. On May 10th, in the Blockbuster parking lot across the street from Kroger, Leon waits. His cousin notices him sitting in his Thunderbird and asks what he's up to. Leon said he was waiting across the street because a highway patrolman threatened to kill him if he ever saw him with his daughter. There was some exaggeration with that, but he would be dead a week later. Family speculates it could be a son, as Leon was not officially out to his conservative family. Instead of a daughter, would be a son. May 8th, according to his coworker, I just knew him from going to Kroger, then working there a couple of months. He told me that he was being harassed. Never would say who though. So May 9th, his sister Sally Barea recalls Leon telling her the day before the murder that the Gatlin brothers were harassing him, and he didn't know why. His sister passed earlier this year, the year of that year, but her daughter Stephanie still remembers how terrible her daughter felt. And I'm not really sure when his sister passed away, but she felt really terrible when she heard about this news. On the same day, friends and family describe Leon as punctual and early to work. He typically leaves around 11:30 p.m. and arrives early to socialize with the staff and leaving their shift. May 9th. Unless I change the date, it's still going to be the May 9th. May 9th is one of those memories that isn't very clear, but I swear I glanced out the window and I said, yeah, Leon's here, but then he never came in, and then it was gone, said Peggy in a text to Arlene. In 2022, it was reported there was another vehicle in the parking lot next to Leon. She realized 12:10 when he didn't arrive, something was wrong. Looked at the parking lot and noticed that he was gone. So she called George at exactly 12:01 a.m. to see what happened. George immediately left the house and retraced Leon's steps to see if he had car trouble. Coworkers called 911. Once George didn't see him along the way, and then they noticed that there was emergency vehicles heading to the rifle range. I do believe George was a relative who may know who he was. I looked around, prior to recording this, and I couldn't find. But if I do find it, I'll update it on my social media page, Missing Miles. So May 10th, Leon is shot execution style in the back of his head. The suspect shot Leon approximately 6 foot in front of his Thunderbird, right in front of rifle range fence, about 30 feet from the entrance. Overnight, Leon's Thunderbird is set on fire. The suspect or suspects lit Leon's car on fire. It's reported that they were in a 1970s Ford one-ton pickup truck. And on the same thing, when Leon colleagues Peggy Terry realized that Leon hadn't returned, she calls George. He leaves Bangs and heads towards Kroger to see if Leon was in an accident, along the route. To see from his house to Kroger to see if he might have been in a car wreck. Then at 12:15, two cars seen driving slowly along the shoulder of the FM. 12:27, a 911 call from a motorist en route to the Brownwood Medical Center. 911 called by passerbyers. The second 911 call came from a passerby who is coming home from work and who also spots Leon's body 20 feet from the vehicle. On the same overnight, the same night, one of the witnesses reports seeing a late model 1970s Ford truck. They also recall that the truck was tinted windows, flatbed, or no bed, chrome mirrors, and a gooseneck trailer hitch. On the 10th, according to Peggy, I called the hospital and the police department. The police department told me there was a bad wreck on Gun Range, but none of the roads from Bangs, so clear from there. I even saw an ambulance heading that way. Never had a clue that it would be Leon. Fire department arrives. Finds Leon's body. The fire department initially responds to a report of a vehicle fire. They are surprised to find a body lying down 6 foot in front of the Thunderbird, face down in the dirt, with a single gunshot wound to the back of the head. The vehicle is towed from the scene before the newspaper photographers arrive at dawn. Police claim they did everything by the book, but I don't know if they did. It sounds a lot of stuff. They were trying to get rid of a lot of evidence really quick, so there's no photographers to take the pictures or anything. But yeah, 2002 investigation stalls. Private Detective William Deere hired. William Deere, a famous private detective known for exhuming Lee Harvey Oswald body out, takes the case, quickly leaves the case after claiming that his life was threatened during the investigation. He also never turned over the files to the family despite their paying him. So they want to pay him for the files, and they ran him out of town scared. 2005, new Ranger Nick Hanna is assigned to Leon's case. A new case squad division of the Texas Rangers created. Nick Hanna is reorganized as leader. 2008, Ranger Bobby Grubbs claims that they have a person of interest. I've got another one that the man, let's say that again. I was told I'm read too fast, so I'll read it slowly. But yeah, the Ranger said that they did have a person of interest, but they don't want to pursue it, Bobby Grubbs, because they don't want to try to initiate something that might not come back with anything. 2013, police claim leads. According to authorities, the Laureles case has gotten some fairly strong leads that we are revisiting, and we feel a little bit optimistic that we may see some results out there. In 2016, his niece Arlene is told that the suspect that they thought might be connected to it, committed suicide. Case reopened in 2020. So there is a case of the unsolved murder of Juan Leon Laureles. And like I said earlier, if you have any information leading that you might know about this case, first you can always dial 911 and talk about it, and they'll direct you to the right source. But again, call Browns County Sheriff's Office at 325-646-5510 or the Heart of Texas Crime Support Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS, 222-8477. Thank you for listening. Hopefully you know something. We get this case solved and bring closure to the Laureles family. And if you want to be part of victim advocacy or something like that, like I said, you could go and learn more, listen to panels about people who's been through the same situation as the Laureles family at the 2024 True Crime and Paranormal Podcast Festival. Let me tell you a little bit about that. It goes from July 12th to July 14th in Denver, Colorado at the Denver Marriott Westmeister. And the purpose of the True Crime and Paranormal Festival is to allow you, the listeners, to meet, interact with your favorite podcasters and content creators. Who knows, you might find some favorites. The festival features live recordings of podcast episodes, including many crossover collaborations that you won't hear anywhere else. You can also join a lively panel discussion where podcasters pull back the curtains for a unique view into the creation of a show. Past topics have been how podcasters select their cases, the ethics of amateur investigation, and the importance of diversity and inclusivity. We are also excited to add paranormal cases to the panel and roundtables as well. And I too will be doing a panel. I was already given the green light. Hopefully, I'll be joined by Nina instead from Already Gone podcast. So I'm really looking forward to that. But if you like what you listen to and you find something out of this, please join my Missing Miles podcast, my Missing Miles Facebook group, and or you can email me at missingmiles70 at gmail.com. So there you go. And if you like true crime, obviously you like true crime, you listen to this. But I also have another podcast called Truck Stop Murder and True Crime Podcast, where I talk about truck stops or travel plazas, everything what people think about the reviews and everything what to eat if you travel there, and a murder that happened nearby. And there is some crazy murders, and also these truck drivers are very dramatic. So, all right, without further ado, take care and stay safe.